Well, folks, it is officially top 30 season. And this is about the time of the year where we're going to start hearing and seeing reports of specific players that are in this upcoming draft class that were invited by the Buffalo Bills to have several conversations and really unpack and get to understand who these athletes are. One of which just so happens to be speedy wide receiver Isaiah Bond out of the University of Texas. I got to be completely honest with you. This, to me, sort of looks like an Xavier Worthy type clone, right? And if you followed me last year, I was pretty adamant about not wanting either of the Texas wide receivers in the draft. I was not high on AD Mitchell. I was also not very high on Xavier Worthy, right? I was very much a um, BTJ guy, and I was also a Ladd McConkey guy going into it. And funny enough, we ended up with Keon Coleman, who I'm still pretty high on, but that's a story and that's a stream for a different time. But it's funny because it almost seems like the universe is giving us another opportunity of righting the wrongs and getting a wide receiver that I happen to think, or that I just so happen to think is very similar to Xavier Worthy, and that just so happens to be Isaiah Bond. But I'm not just going to go out there and give a knee jerk reaction. We are going to look at exactly what Isaiah Bond did for the University of Texas last year, his previous years. He started off at Alabama. Look at some of the green flags, how he would be able to be incorporated into the Buffalo Bills offense. And then obviously, we can't go a stream without identifying, excuse me, wow, excuse me, some of the red flags that could be presented. Folks, if you are watching the replay of this episode, do me a favor when you subscribe. I want you to hit that bell notification so you can be notified every single time that I am live. As you will see, I yap for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then afterwards, I transition exclusively over to the live chat, and I allow my live audience to take control of the conversation. If you are listening on audio, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Please consider giving a rating and review, and let's dive in to the topic in and of itself. And folks, Isaiah Bond, right? Like I said, an Xavier Worthy type clone. He was known, I would say, or like his shtick all during the NFL Combine was that I am going to beat Xavier Worthy's 40 time. And funny enough, he didn't come anywhere close, right? At the Combine, he ultimately ended up running about 4.4. I think the official timing was 4.39. During his pro day a couple of days ago, he ran a 4.38. So automatically, that tells us that that fits the mold of the sort of wide receiver we are looking for in this draft class. We need a wide receiver that can create separation vertically. We need a dude that's a burner on the outside. And that's exactly who Isaiah Bond is. Now, let's take a look at some of his trends. In 2022, he started off with the Alabama Crimson Tide, finished his final 2 years over at the University of Texas. He went 34 receptions out of 56 targets, so his targets weren't necessarily there, right? He had 540 yards. His average yards per reception was at about 15.9 yards and 5 touchdowns. Now, I always like looking at some of the advanced metrics of things that I find to be attractive for this specific prospect. Right now, what's ideal is that he had a 60.7 reception percentage. The thing is, once you end up looking at this number at 60.7%, and then you also end up looking at drops, I'm going to go ahead and take a look here. He only had 2 drops all season. So when you see, here, let me go ahead and get back to this receiving grade right here, a 60.7% reception rate or percentage, and you notice that he only had 2 drops, that is very much a Quinn Ewers stat. I do not like Quinn Ewers. I think Quinn Ewers is absolutely garbage. I think that was kind of half of the reason why I was not high on Xavier Worthy and why I was not high on AD Mitchell in last year's draft was because I was way too focused on the dropping portion of their game. But then I had to realize and talk myself down that, dude, like they had a quarterback who has no business being drafted before the 5th round by itself. So 60.7 reception percentage, 540 yards, as I said, and the 15.9 yards per reception. So He's a vertical separator. He really, really is. My red flags that I'm seeing right now, he's 5'11". He's 180 pounds, right? And in college, as you can see, you see this build as a wide receiver, and you would assume, you're like, oh, Dan, he's probably a predominant slot sort of guy. But when you end up scrolling over into some of his advanced analytics, you will see that his slot percentage was only at 22.6% of the time. 9 times out of 10, well, excuse me, more 7 times out of 10, rather, he was out wide, lined up wide. But this height thing and this build is specifically a red flag for me. Now, don't get me wrong. So the Kansas City Chiefs were able to get Isaiah Bond open through various pre-snap motions, right? Say that he can get past a physical DB, he's gone. But my biggest problem is that he's going to get bullied against some of these larger DBs out on the perimeter. And if he can't get off of the line, I don't care how fast he truly is, he's going to struggle. And there's no point of drafting him right in the first place. But I'm not saying that that's enough for me to say, oh, no, I don't trust this wide receiver. He has no business being on the Buffalo Bills in the first place. So that's a couple of things to keep in mind. I love the yak, right? Looking at yards after the catch per reception, that is 8 yards. That is absolutely massive. And you'll only see 272 yards after the catch in total from last season. But remember, his targets weren't necessarily there. A lot of the targets ended up going to Matthew Golden. They had a really solid run game over in Texas too. So not enough for me to get completely scared away. 14.6 average depth of target. So you know that he is your deep threat right here. He had 2 interceptions, right? Based off of when he was being targeted, and the DB ultimately ended up winning, but he's not going to be a contested catch guy, but that's not exactly what we're drafting him to be. Overall, this is where we are looking at, or this is what we are looking at from this specific prospect. What I really like from this guy, and hence why I've said this is our opportunity to right the wrong of not going with Xavier Worthy. And I'm not saying we should have got Xavier Worthy. I just think that it's a pretty funny theme. We could use him as well, how the Kansas City Chiefs use Xavier Worthy as well, right? He's had a couple of rushing chops, if you will. He had a total of 4 rushes all season with Texas, one of which he broke off for 44 yards, which is absolutely nuts. And then several where it was 25 plus, 98 rushing yards just off of 4 attempts by itself, yards per average at 24.5, and then 1 single touchdown right over here. So this guy really looks to me as a player that would be very similar to an Xavier Worthy added to the Buffalo Bills. Now, as far as red flags, again, like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of his size at 5'11", 180 pounds. He's going to get bullied on the line, especially if we end up lining him out on the outside. He's not a contested catch guy, but then again, I feel like we really don't need that, because Joe Brady is largely an offensive coordinator that likes to leverage the different strengths of wide receivers on the roster as their main contributor. And what Isaiah Bond would be asked to do is to quite simply just be like, dude, get open vertically, get open 20, 25 yards downfield, and let Josh Allen make it happen, right? His average separation is pretty solid too, as long as he ends up getting past all the physicality. I am a little concerned about how he could potentially get injured. He's a bit careless in his breaks, where he doesn't try to avoid contact. He plays like he's 6'2", 220 pounds, right? But in the NFL, he could be calling for himself to receive a pretty massive injury based off of the carelessness in that as well. So a couple of red flags here and there. As far as Isaiah Bond, we could probably see this guy in the 3rd round. And I know where it stands. Buffalo does not currently have a 3rd round pick. I do not believe that is going to be the case. Once it is all said and done, I think Brandon Beane will find a way to get up into the 3rd round, whether or not that it's trading up from the 4th, maybe packaging a couple of 5ths here and there. But that is what we have to see about Isaiah Bond. Now, folks, this is going to be the time where I transition over to the live chat and allow my team and allow my friends to take control of the episode and conversation. So again, if you are watching the replay of this video, I highly recommend that when you subscribe, you turn on those bell notifications so you can be a part of the next live chat takeover. Same thing with anybody listening on audio. If, for example, you want to subscribe to the YouTube channel and be a part of this live conversation, this live Q&A segment, highly recommend you go over to YouTube and you subscribe so you can see me over there as well. I do need to give a giant shout out. And by the way, everyone put a 1 in the chat if you are planning on watching college basketball today. All right. I'm talking Sweet 16. March Madness is going on as we speak. And I got to tell you what, the number one place to make your predictions here just so happens to be Kalshi. Now, Kalshi is typically known for your ability to bet on politics, on cryptocurrency, on damn weather. All right. But now they just ended up teaming up with March Madness, with Robinhood as well, I wanted to say. And they have all of the lines on for each and every single game. I got a buddy that's a big Florida fan. So say, for example, that I wanted to take Florida in this overall situation. Simply going ahead and I just take yes at 73 cents a share. I'll tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and put down 100 spot on this. And the payout would be 137 doll hairs, if possible, on top of what I'm looking for. If Maryland goes for the upset, what about that bad boy? $358. So if you want to check out this, all right, folks, I have the link that is pinned at the top of the chat right now. And if you sign up using my code DONMAFIA, one word, DONMAFIA, then you will receive a $10 sign-up bonus that you could very easily put on Maryland to pull off the upset or any other potential upset that we see right in front of our faces. Michigan State and Ole Miss is also pretty interesting, but we shall see. Shout out to Kalshi for sponsoring today's video. We have a couple of super chats I wanted to knock out. Let's start off with Craig. Craig just came in from the live chat today, and he said, to be in touch with our female side, Hallmark Channel is making a Buffalo Bills Christmas movie. And I'll tell you what, listen, I did end up putting out an audition tape on X. All right. I want to audition for the antagonist of the movie. All right. I already have the character. His name is Derek Stone. He's some douchebag agent. And what he wants to do is he wants to get the love interest signed with another NFL team, right? Mega deal. I try to get in his ear. I'm like, listen, fool, like you've known this girl for a half hour and you want to marry her? Hell no. Take the money. Derek Stone, he's got an ulterior motive. He's trying to slide in, baby. That's precisely what he's trying to do. Anyway, in Hallmark fashion, what they end up doing is that protagonist looks at the contract, rips it up, goes back to the girl, tells me to fuck off, but then he ends up throwing me in the trunk, all right? And he drops me off somewhere in the Adirondacks alone, dead, cold, to die. But then, it doesn't matter. I roll over into some radioactive snow, all right? And then I get superhuman powers. I wake up, hell-bent on revenge, going back into town. But then you know what? I see a burning building, and I see a child asking for help, and I say, you know what? Revenge will only inch me closer to a sooner death. And I choose the hero life. Cinematic universe, Hallmark. Cinematic universe, just by one simple casting right then and there, baby. That's what I'm talking about, Craig. That's what I'm talking about, Craig. Make it a trend to get Dan Mitchell as the antagonist of the Hallmark Bills movie. Let me know. Jason just came in. He is a member of the channel for quite some time. Dan, what's up, everyone? I don't know about anybody else, but I'm actually really excited for this upcoming season. So am I. I do think it's going to be wildly competitive. I'm kind of having a hard time guessing what this is going to be or like what this season is going to turn out like. But anyway, let's talk about it. Ryan, what do we got? Kyle Williams. That's who I want us to get. Ryan Walker, I got to tell you what, man, that is hands down my favorite wide receiver prospect in this draft. And more than likely, he's going to fall in the fourth or fifth. He went to Washington State, has some of the best separation, some of the best route running that I have seen. He has tremendous hands. He still runs a 4.4 40. So many pluses for this guy on the Buffalo Bills, man. He is my favorite wide receiver in this draft. Dan, when you get a chance, and this is coming from DW, take a look at Jalen Royals from Utah State. If we miss on Bond, I wouldn't mind the Bills pulling the trigger on this kid. I will tell you what, DW, I am actually higher on Jalen Royals over Isaiah Bond. When it comes into my priorities as far as what I would like the Buffalo Bills to draft in the wide receiver category, and I'm going based off of realism. If Matthew Golden falls and all of our defensive tackle prospects are gone by the time it's the Buffalo Bills' first pick, and Matthew Golden is there, I would take Matthew Golden. He's number 1 to me. Number 2 is Jalen Royals. Number 3 is Kyle Williams. Number 4 is Isaiah Bond to me. That is in the list of priority. Jason loves my Hallmark movie idea. Thank you so much, man. Listen, I'm trying to give them a cinematic universe. Zoo El Zoo, other teams are making serious moves while the Bills overpay random dopes and injured vets yet again. We have the Patriots giving Stephon Diggs more money than Scary Terry and Devontae Adams. So I wouldn't say that. TR, I like it. It sounds a bit edgy for Hallmark, though. Listen, it does sound a bit edgy. It does, but it's time to pivot, right? Like, we've been seeing the same old movie, right? Been seeing the same old movie. Some lady goes to a small town, right? Some jaded guy who's scared of love. Big charity dude, right? And all of a sudden he falls in love in a half hour and they're married and they have 6 kids. You know what I mean? Like, I think they need to spice it up a tad. And maybe they need some sort of cinematic universe situation there. What do you think about Jabbar Muhammad, 5th or 6th round? Ryan, I actually have not looked into him. I am going to have to. Noah saying, what the hell did I just listen to? Oh, man, my audition for the Buffalo Bills Hallmark movie. Sign me up. I'm serious. Dan, are you going to be live for the first round of the draft? Katie, that is a tradition of mine. Yes, I will. I will be live for the full first round of the NFL draft. More than likely, I will be live for the entire second day as well, which would be round 2 and round 3. So that's why it's wildly important, folks. If you haven't turned on bell notifications, make sure you do, because I will be live reacting to every single move that this draft sees. Golden is a no-brainer for the Bills draft, but I would rather have a corner and Royals and Higgins. I do like Higgins a lot as well. He's like a 4.45 5.40 kind of guy, but his route running is very good. I saw him at the Senior Bowl, and he impressed. He really did. Big Daddy D. Dan coming in loud and clear in Forestville, New York. Derek, what's up, man? Hope all is well. Hope all is well, man. Walter S. Dan just went from Hallmark to ID to Marvel, and that plot's enough to describe it. Hey, man, listen. We got to finish it up, baby. We got to finish it up. Dan, what's your betting odds we stay at 30 and or move up? So my buddy Kevin pointed this out a couple of weeks ago. And did you know that in Brandon Beane's history, he has only ever stayed put once? No, twice. He's only ever stayed put twice in his career. He has either moved up slightly or he has traded down. He's traded down twice. I think he's moved up most out of all of his opportunities. So I think we move up a couple of spots. Say that I'm going to guess, good educated guess on my end is going to be 24. So I say we move up with the Minnesota Vikings and we take the 24th draft pick. Who is there? I have no idea. But that is my gamble. Deshaun is saying, if you have a choice, who do you want, Royals or Kyle Williams? Oh, man, you're putting me on the spot. I'd probably take Kyle Williams, surprisingly enough. Belo Bills. Dan, you excited for the Hallmark 2025 Bills movie? Absolutely. I was just casted. I hope they don't make Cole Bishop the villain in this movie. I want them to make me the villain, bro. That's what I'm talking about. Wide receiver Trey Harris from Ole Miss is a nice player to watch for, too. I've seen a couple of mock drafts where he actually fell to the Buffalo Bills, so he could be somewhat good. So really my overall take on Isaiah Bond, sure, right? Does he excite me the most out of any other potential prospect? Does Isaiah Bond excite me more than a Jalen Royals or a Kyle Williams, right? Or even a Savion Williams, too. Does he excite me more than those three prospects realistically? No. But I do feel like he would fill a need. Ryan, won't matter much for us, but Kyle McCord, one of my favorite quarterbacks, is in the class. Not going to lie. Syracuse, former Ohio State guy, right? He's good. He's good. I do not see the Buffalo Bills going for a quarterback in this draft, especially since Mitchie Biscuits is already under contract and Mike White is still a practice squad guy. And remember, right? Like we have 10 picks right now, and I don't see the Buffalo Bills walking away with 10 picks. It's going to be 6, 7, maybe. So us going for a quarterback that's automatically going to be on the practice squad. Yeah, I'm not particularly sure that that's something that we would do. Bills 716. Dan, have you thought about doing a Bills roundtable for the first round of the draft? Maybe even the second round. It would be cool watching you and a few other Bills YouTubers analyzing our picks. Bills 716. You know what, man? It is pretty interesting. Last year I hopped on Bleacher Report and I did a reaction to the entire first round. I did that. Or second round, I want to say. I could potentially bring on a couple of other Bills YouTubers to see if they would be interested to hop on the stream and discuss. I'm still battling back and forth if I want to do the entire first round or if I just want to wait until the Buffalo Bills pick and then go live to figure out exactly who we went with, right? But that could be interesting. I think day 2 would be a better option. Let me start cooking something up and seeing if I can get Rico to come on or see if I can get Z-Bot to come on and hang out with me for a couple of hours just to watch everything. Let's grab Kyle Williams. I can dig out my old Kyle Williams jersey and repurpose it. That's a way to do it. That is a way to do it, man. I still have a Stephon Diggs jersey that is collecting dust in my damn closet as we speak. It's Custos has come in with a statement, and he says, I agree with McCord. Honestly, any of the Syracuse players would be a great addition to the Buffalo Bills. Jonas Burris has come in. Dan, how tired are you of all the talk and just ready to get it done? It's got to be exhausting. Dude, you know what? I enjoy doing this. I love speculating on football. It's something I've always wanted to do. And I can say that I wake up every morning and I'm happy to do it. It's getting annoying because I do want to have answers. But then after the draft, like, what am I going to talk about, right? Like, I suppose we could do a lot of speculation here and there, but I think I'm just savoring this moment because once the draft is all over and we get into that lull, that would be rookie minicamp, I guess, mandatory minicamp, which is cool. And then like a solid month and a half lull of absolutely nothing. So I am relishing in all of this speculation talk, but I promise you I have made a commitment. I post content every single day. No questions there. Just don't watch the pit tape. Thomas has come in. I love the fellow Forestville representation here. Village of under 800 people and multiple people in the chat. Thomas, what's going on, man? Hope all is well. Chris Herrera is coming with a statement. Dan, I just saw the short you made about my New England Patriots. I was not pleased. Chris, oh, man, it was just a joke. I will tell you what, Chris, you were one of the few Patriots fans that stuck around during the dark times. So it did not apply to you, Chris. I promise you. Diggs to the Patriots. Yeah, I know, man. We unpacked that in detail yesterday. Below Bills is coming in. And he is saying Gilmore reunion talks heating up by everyone who isn't a Bills reporter, it seems. Gilmore reunion talks heating up by everyone who isn't a Bills reporter, it seems. I think you're saying that fans are suggesting this, but no reporter has had Stephon Gilmore. Is that what you're saying, Below Bills? Interesting. DW, you need to get a WTF button for the draft. I do have a soundboard that I could actually make an implementation of certain sounds, I would be happy to do that. Mikey, day 3 of asking if you've seen Ty Robinson's film. Mikey, I am so sorry, dude. I am so sorry, man. I try to get to all the live chats as I can. I have not. Funny enough, he was at the Senior Bowl. I was not tasked at watching. So the defensive line, I was more on the wide receiver and the secondary side of things. But I will, because I have been seeing you pound the table for Ty Robinson as a defensive tackle solution for the Buffalo Bills. I'm happy to take a look. And I will make a video just for you, my friend. Bilo Bills came in with yet another statement. And he says, do I remember right that Rico got censored by the Bills for using licensed Bill stuff in the background? I'm not sure. And to be honest with you, I'm going to have to ask him. Cody Benz, Buffalo Fanatics always does draft party. Join them. I'm going to have to see. Deshaun Santiago, would you be disappointed if the Bills double dipped in wide receiver and somehow got the dream team, Jalen Royals and Kyle Williams? So would I be upset? No, but I would definitely want to have answers, right? Because so a Royals and a Kyle Williams would certainly be a second and a fourth round pick. And we don't have a third round pick. So I would need to make sure that we walked away with a solid defensive tackle and also a CB2. If we're double dipping anywhere, I really want it to be defensive tackle. CB2, I would be okay with a double dip. Wide receiver, I'm not sure if I'd be okay with a double dip there. But those two names would be very difficult to be upset about. Manny has just come in from Facebook and said, Dan, could you give us some examples of what makes Isaiah Bond spontaneous over other wide receivers in his class? What special routes he has on his tree that could help the Buffalo Bills offense day one? So I'll be honest with you, man. We are talking about a dude that's a go route receiver, right? Like he's a go kind of guy. He's our vertical separator. He's that dude that's going to be running down the sideline, hopefully creating several separation. And that's fine, right? Because again, I think the way that most successful offenses, at least in the AFC, have been operating is that they don't have a wide receiver core of all very well-rounded wide receivers. They just have somebody that does something especially well. They are elite in one facet of the game. And Isaiah Bond, he's your speedster, right? He ran a 4.38. He is your deep ball guy. His average depth of target, I believe, was 14.2. 60% catch percentage, only 2 drops. So that tells you a lot about the quarterback he was dealing with. I like Isaiah Bond. I do think that we would be able to scheme him open certain pre-snap situations. My concern with him is, one, he's small. He's 5'11", 180 pounds. Say, for example, he's going up against the likes of a Sauce Gardner, for example, right? He's probably going to get jammed up on the line, and his speed is going to be irrelevant, right? Second is he's relatively careless in his breaks. He doesn't try to avoid contact. I would be fine if he was 6'2", 220 pounds, pure muscle, whatever. Dude, go out and be aggressive. But I think he plays as if he is a behemoth wide receiver. So I think we could make it work because, again, this offense is likely not going to have a 1,000-yard receiver next year. It just doesn't appear to be a part of what Joe Brady calls for. He has a very well-balanced, spread-out offense, and who am I to judge because it works, right? None of us should be pissed off that we didn't have a 1,000-yard receiver last year because we made it to the AFC Championship. And the other team that didn't have a 1,000-yard receiver also made it to the AFC Championship, and that was the Kansas City Chiefs. That is a formula for success in the NFL for the most part. So whatever receiver we walk away with, And I do think that it has to be that vertical guy, right? He's going to get like 700 something yards. But say, for example, that you are dead set on finding somebody that is a route technician, that has a full route tree, that has solid speed, that can be a vertical threat, the whole nine. I think the most well-rounded prospect in this draft, outside of Matthew Golden, obviously, he's probably the upper echelon. Later in the draft is Kyle Williams. So Matthew Golden is the best wide receiver in this draft class. Kyle Williams is the second, if you were to ask me. Ryan Hack. Donovan Edwards fell last year from top prospect to late pick, if even picked at all. You think he's worth it late in the draft with the eyeball emoji, adding emphasis, and I appreciate that. See, I think it really just depends on the relationship between the Buffalo Bills and James Cook. Because where it stands, we did sign Ty Robinson to a 2-year deal. First year is fully guaranteed, so he's making this roster. Ray Davis is still on a rookie contract, so he's not going anywhere. And James Cook, we don't know what is going to happen with this running back, right? In my opinion, I do think he will not receive a contract. But then again, he's getting paid like $5 million this year, but he needs the play in order to earn that. I feel like we would only go with a running back if, for example, that Brandon Beane in this front office has an intention of maybe trading James Cook so that we can move up into the 3rd round or something, or move up slightly in the 2nd with another trade package on top of that. So Donovan Edwards, man. Ryan, I'm assuming you're a Michigan guy. We have a $10 donation from Isaiah. What's going on, Isaiah? I hope all is well. Dan, I would be scared if I were you, having your corners to defend Stephon Diggs twice a year. My Pats are coming for you. Man, you know what? Listen, man, I am so excited that the New England Patriots, right, finally have a wide receiver that they could be excited about, right? Like years and years of just dealing with a Juju Smith-Schuster signing. Like, you finally got a big name. But here's my thing. I think Stephon Diggs will be good for you, right? Like, he will be the best wide receiver on your roster. But don't pretend like this is just not going to be another breaking news. Julio Jones signs with the Tennessee Titans a year after his Atlanta Falcons tenure. Or breaking news, DeAndre Hopkins decides to sign with the Tennessee Titans. Basically what you're getting is the ghost of Stephon Diggs. That's precisely what you are getting. You are not getting the same Stephon Diggs that was in Buffalo. But maybe you don't even need that Stephon Diggs. Like, you just need a 31-year-old Stephon Diggs that is coming off of an ACL tear. His route running is not going to be anywhere near to what it was 2 or 3 years ago, but it's probably still going to be pretty solid for Drake May. He'll be good, but don't you dare disrespect Christian Benford. Lock down Diggs all day. Mikey, see my OSU man, Tyleik Williams, take a stumble at his pro day. He was holding his hammy after he went down. I did see that. I was concerned, but then I heard reports that he walked off by himself, walked back out to the pro day, and gave 2 thumbs up. So he should be okay. He's probably just a little tight. Like, dude was just going too hard. Jay is coming in with some wide receiver preferences here. I like Trey Harris a lot from Ole Miss. He's better than Royals, Bond, and Kyle Williams, in my opinion. Trey Harris out of Ole Miss. That is your dude, Trey Harris, man. We're going to have to see. I'm not going to lie to you. I haven't been looking at Trey Harris, largely because I have been seeing him go in the early 2nd round. Maybe I'm going to have to take a look at Trey Harris. I feel like every single time that I see or hear of a top 30 visit for the Buffalo Bills, I am going to make a video on it so we can discuss exactly what we can see from those players. And today's episode was Isaiah Bond. We have New England fans are funny because Diggs is old. He is nothing special anymore. Ravens for Life 716. Wow. I think me and Ravens for Life 716 might be friends today. Look at that. Wow, man. Things how the tides have turned. Jason, yeah, nobody is scared of Diggs, LMAO. But hey, listen, shout out to my boy, though. Shout out to my boy Isaiah for coming in with a super chat. You are the man, dude. I really appreciate the I really appreciate the love. You have no idea. I'm not a Michigan guy. I'm just a big fan of how stock can rise and fall on guys so rapidly. The NFL draft gets me pumped. It does, dude. It does, man. I feel like last year, right? Like all of us like, oh my God, we need AD Mitchell, man. He is a game changer, right? And they're like, no, man, like we got to trade up for AD. And where did AD go? Like midway through the second. It's crazy with certain prospects, man. It really is. Derek, you don't have to move up to get a running back. Second and fourth can get it. I wouldn't be big on getting a running back, not unless like Cook is like not playing, right? Would the Bills trade Josh Allen for the number 1 overall pick? No, we would not, Ruben. We would not. Sean, Ty Felton looks pretty good. Right out of Maryland, he does as well. Oh, man. Dan with the young man look today. Yesterday, I kept recalling that We Are the Millers when he called himself a dad on the AFC East Roundtable. That is an incredible movie. One of my favorite movies of all time is We Are the Millers. Indeed. Yeah, man. You know what? Like, I definitely rotate my looks on streams. You know, sometimes I look like a child. Sometimes I look like an agent. Sometimes I look like a Southern boy. I don't know. It just depends on how I feel when I wake up, you know? Bill 716, I do think we get a 1,000-yard receiver, and that is Khalil Shakir. He had 821 yards this past season, and I do see him getting around 6 touchdowns, maybe even doubling to 8 touchdowns from 4 last year. So you were calling for a Khalil Shakir breakout season. Listen, many people I surround myself with think Khalil Shakir is on pace to be an Amon-Ra St. Brown as far as production. Will it happen? Who knows? Don't you think Isaiah Bond is a slot guy just like Khalil Shakir? He actually played mostly on the outside. It was 76% of the time he was out wide, only 22% he was out of the slot. He's small, though, so maybe an NFL team that does draft him will exclusively put him out of the slot, but in college, he played about 76% on the outside. Derek Cunningham. Dan, I think Buffalo is going to need to trade up for one of the following: Trey Amos, Maxwell Hairston, Emanwari, or Starks. I think all 4 of them will be gone at 30, not to mention the defensive tackles will be gone too. Derek coming in with some hot takes. It's funny because surprisingly enough, I have seen 3 of the 4 of those names, and this is just mock draft simulators. These simulators have no idea what's really going to happen. But for context, I have seen Amos, Hairston, and Emanwari go in the early second, sometimes late first. 9 times out of 10, a lot of those guys were still readily available at pick 30. Starks, 20, like 16, 17, something. 16th or 17th pick. But who knows? Who knows? If, for example, we do trade up, I would be fine with an Emanwari. Y'all know that I'm an Emanwari guy right there, and or Starks. Starks or Emanwari would be like a trade-up candidate for me if either of those 2 fall. Bean will trade to Kansas City again, and they will grab Bond, and we will grab another bum project wide receiver. Typical Brandon Bean style. Donnie just wakes up angry. Donnie, I love you, man. Donnie, I want you to smile one day. You know what I mean? Smile, Donnie. Come on, Donnie. Come on, man. Come on, man. Be happy. Be happy. I feel like we'll be all right, man. Earliest we draft wide receiver in late second round. Earliest we draft a wide receiver is in the late second round. Yeah, I would agree. And that might even be a stretch. That might even be a stretch. We have HX TEDx Bob has come in. I'd be happy with either Ollie Gordon, Travis Etienne, or Blue. Well, Blue is pretty sick out of Texas. We have Ollie Gordon, who's also a stud. But again, I think this is all determined on what James Cook is planning on doing. Isaiah, just came in with a $10 donation. With the way Josh McDaniels runs his offense, we aren't asking him to do much. He's mainly going to be running a lot of short routes like slants, digs, and curls. I see what you did there. Yeah. Yeah, most definitely. I have a feeling that he's going to be like a 600, 700-yard guy. That's going to be it. It would take like 5 first-round picks for Allen, and people say some funny stuff. They really do. And I'm not even sure if we would accept that. Jonas, off subject, and how's the youth league baseball coaching go? A future skipper in the show in the cards. Jonas, man, dude, it's funny. I have practice today, 4 p.m. EST. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to go run those dudes wild, bro. All right. Because we got a tournament this weekend and we're coming out with gold, baby. But nah, it's fun, man. It's fun. I enjoy it. And so I enjoy coaching. It's my nephew's team. It's a 9-year-old travel team. Solid stuff. So yeah, dude, it's going great. So I've always wanted to coach before, but obviously, so I don't have a kid yet. So like when I tried to be like, yeah, I'll be a coach, like everyone was like, okay, that's kind of creepy. Why are you trying to coach a bunch of kids? But I'm really just that competitive and I love coaching. But now that I have a nephew that's of age, like now I could be an assistant coach. Super sick. I love it. Thank you for asking, my friend. Thank you for asking. Keith, have you seen wide receiver from Vanderbilt, Steve Smith, gave him a Dez Bryant comp? No, I haven't. What's his name, Keith? I'm going to have to check the dude out. Darian Porter should be there at 30. I have seen Darian Porter go in the second and even fall to the second round where we are in the first place. So it's really just a crapshoot, like where these guys are going to fall. It's Custos has come in, and the Pats need a quarterback to throw him the ball first. Wow. Shots are fired. Ryan Hack. Say we don't get Kenneth Grant. Who is your favorite defensive tackle outside of round 1? I like Darius Alexander a lot. He's a second round guy. I also like Tyleik Williams. And I also really like Omar Norman Lott out of Tennessee. Solid pass rusher, big body, great run defender. And his tires still have a lot of tread because Tennessee had a really heavy rotation. So I think he still has a lot left in the tank to be that first-year contributor. So I'd say those 3 I would be pleased with. Don Oz, I'm not sure about that Derek. And there's only so many picks that people can take before 30. And there's certainly way more pressing needs for other teams than just defensive tackle and corners. Lots of talent in this class. Katie Robertson. I think if we get a wide receiver that can stretch the field effectively, Coleman will be way more productive next year, being our 50-50 guy. That is the missing piece, right? A good wide receiver that has an opposite skill set to your contested catch guy is going to open up a hell of a lot more opportunities, right? And again, like I've said, I think Keon Coleman is an upgrade to what Gabe Davis used to be for this team, right? But now we just need that other wide receiver. What can happen? Michael Bell Jr. Keon isn't a bum. He was progressing until an illegal hit sidelined him. From Jordan Poyer, man. I can see them trading with the Vikings for the 24th pick. That's about as high as I think we do go. Steve Lynn, what's up, Steve? How you doing? Golden has the better 40, but Bond has the better play speed. Texas tells you watch a game when they need a big play, they throw to Bond. Bond is better than Golden. Tape don't lie. Steve Lynn, he's a big Bond guy. Big Bond guy, right over Golden. I can appreciate that. Jay, what are your things about Derek Harmon, Dan? It's more than just tackling, pressure, and pass rush win rate. Also means a lot. Here's my thing with Derek Harmon, right? I just think that his ceiling is a rotational guy. He's not somebody that's going to go in year 1 and be a game wrecker. And quite frankly, I think we need that guy. So we need that guy. Like, we don't need a year or 2 of development. I think that a lot of things in Derek Harmon's game need further development at the NFL level. And what I want is somebody that can plug and play, and we don't need to sit around and wait for him to get better at very important aspects of the game by itself. Where like you like see like guys like a Kenneth Grant that, in my opinion, does not need much coaching. Like he's going to go in and he's going to take the most out of his opportunities. I want a defensive tackle that could realistically go out there and beat out Daquan Jones as the starter as far as snap share is concerned. I don't think Derek Harmon could beat out Daquan Jones this year, but I think Kenneth Grant could. That's kind of my thing. That's kind of my thing, baby. Bills are electric. Sure, draft Isaiah Bond, but don't panic and draft him too early. If you miss, you miss. That's what I'm talking about. Connor Kidd did an awesome job reporting for the Jets. He's going to have his own show on Roundtable Sports Network, man. I'm excited about Connor. It's New York Flight Jets. It's his YouTube channel. Very talented young man. He's 14 years old, and he knows more ball than me and all of you. I can promise you that. Low-key Steve Smith is our wide receiver scout. Golden is a better route runner. They started going to him more late in the year. Anthony Pratt. We were second in the league in scoring without a number one wideout. Focus on defense. Yeah, for sure, man. Again, like I said, I'm not going to sit here and say that we need to trade up in the first to grab so a Luther Burden or a Matthew Golden or something along those lines. I'm very much like, let's wait around for a Kyle Williams, for an Isaiah Bond, for a Jalen Royals in the third / the fourth, wherever they do ultimately end up falling. Dan, a wild card Bills could draft is Jihad Campbell to be Matt Milano's replacement. Jihad Campbell can also play off the edge on third down. He could be a wild card indeed, but I'm not sure how I would feel about it, right? Because what we need, especially in the positions of need, is like we need a plug and play player that can contribute immediately this year. And a Jihad Campbell, like he would just be somebody that for the most part, like we would put on ice until 2026. Campbell is going to go in the first round. I probably would be the least excited if we walked away with him, right? Because we still have Bernard, who we just extended. We have Milano on one more year. We have Dorian Williams as well, who is behind Milano at this point. Campbell would be intriguing, but like we don't run a 3-4 either. You know what I mean? Like we have like edge rushers out in our 4-3 scheme. So, or 4 rushers, excuse me. So like not unless like we wanted to use him as like make him fully transition over into an edge rusher, which I'm not even sure if he has the size profile for that. I don't think that a linebacker should be taken that early, especially with everything else that we need. Harmon is way better than Daquan. I mean, I don't know. Dude. I don't know. He's low ceiling already, ready to produce. I'm not a Harmon guy, man. I'm not a Harmon guy. Listen, but you know what? Me not liking Harmon is exactly why I think that Brandon Beane would like him. So if he's a Buffalo Bill, he's a Buffalo Bill. And I hope that I am wrong about Derek Harmon. But I think like once we end up reflecting back on the careers of this defensive tackle class that is coming out, I really think that Kenneth Grant is going to be the best. I really feel that Kenneth Grant will be the best. I don't know. TR has just come in and says, I can't wait on guys. JA17 is in his primes and can't waste it. Need contributors now. Beautiful. Square is saying Campbell is better than Williams. Derek is saying, Dan, if there's 2 players on our board, who are you taking? Nick Emenwari or Kenneth Grant? Grant, 110%. Daquan doesn't even show up on film all year. We're just stuck with him, man. We're just stuck with him right now. Harmon is pro ready. Kenneth needs time. Your takes are opposite. Hey, baby, we'll agree to disagree. We will agree to disagree. Dan, can you yell out mustard in this live stream? Why would I do that? Why would I do that? Why would I do that? Deshaun is coming in and saying, is there any comps that you see that is close to Chris Jones? Haven't necessarily seen that. And the Chiefs were and always will be ass water. I don't know about that. Harmon reminds me of Chris Jones as far as his physical build is concerned. I just don't see like a single elite trait from him. He's very good, but like nothing elite, right? Like, so dude doesn't do anything elite at all, right? They get babysat by the refs. The movie madness. Unfortunately, Bean will probably draft guys 15 picks too early across the draft. I mean, hey, listen, he's been due a good draft class. Hopefully that comes in. Please be no more injury-prone players. Dan, rank your DTs. Rank my DTs. For me, as far as fits for the Buffalo Bills or in general? Let me see. I'm going to go ahead and pull up a list. I'm going to pull up a list. Let me take a look. All right. Grant Walter Nolan is next. But he's not beefy enough for me. Darius Alexander is next. Then Tyleik Williams, then Derek Harmon. Then Omar Norman Lott. I don't like him. I really like Joshua Farmer and Jordan Phillips too. Dan. Campbell is the last guy on my first round board. Not saying that we would, but wouldn't be surprised if we did draft him if we want to stick and pick and nobody else is there. I mean, hey, it could happen, brother. It could happen. Bills 716. I read an article that had the Bills taking an interior offensive lineman at 30 and just shook my head. I mean, who knows? Who knows, man? So where do you see Luther Burden dropping round-wise? He'll be a first. He'll probably be like early 20s, late teens. He's a slot guy. Derek, I would rather draft guys a little early than miss out on them in general. I don't want to risk waiting until the second round for Maxwell Harrison, grab him in the first, and move on. If I'm Brandon Beane, if all of his first round talent is off the board, trade down into the high 30s or maybe get another second and a third. See, I feel like we have 10 picks already. So a trade down in the first doesn't seem as real for me, but I don't know. We have Jordan Burch as a round 3-4 steal. I'm going to have to take a look. Any chance on Danny Stutzman falling into our arms? He could, man. Last time I checked, he's like a 4th, 5th round guy, I think. Nihal Khan, what's up, man? What order do you think the Bills are going to draft in? I think cornerback, defensive tackle, a defensive end, and then wide receiver. So I don't want us to associate each and every single round with a position, right? But say that I'm a gambling man. I think it's defensive tackle first, then corner, then wide receiver, safety, and then another defensive tackle. Yeah, I have a feeling that we double dip at the tackle position. A run-stuffing defensive tackle and one that's versatile. Absolutely. Spin is saying, if we trade down, would probably be to move up in later picks instead of gaining extra picks. Need a CB, DT, wide receiver, safety, and a defensive end. Absolutely. But, all right, folks. That's going to have to do it for today's stream. 155 of you are currently watching on YouTube. 141 of you are currently on X. I highly recommend that, say, for example, you're new here. When you subscribe, make sure you turn on your bell notifications because I really want you guys to be a part of my live chat community. As you know, during all of my shows, I talk for about 10 to 15 minutes at the beginning on said topic, and then I allow the live chat to take over in a Q&A segment. So certainly consider doing that. Smash the like button for me too. I think there's no reason why we can't be over 150 likes on this episode once replays are all said and done as well. And for those of you that are listening on Spotify/Apple Music, highly recommend and ask that you leave a rating and review for me, and also consider coming on over to YouTube next time if you want to catch these episodes live. Love each and every single one of you. I will see you on Roundtable Sports Fourth and Forever here in just a couple of hours. And until then, we'll see y'all soon. Peace.